Welcome to Tourism Talk. I'm your host, Mary Hammond, Director of the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau. And my guest today is Bonnie Browning, and she is Executive Show Director of the American Quilter Society Quilt Shows. Now, today we're going to be talking about Paducah's, but there are other shows. And I was so proud that we have the original show and still the largest show, and the show that's on the bucket list for those many quilters around the globe.
That's true, Mary. And do you know, we are doing 4 shows. We do Lancaster, Pennsylvania in March, and Paducah in April, and it is still the mother show.
Yes.
And our summer show will be held this year in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then Des Moines, Iowa in October. And there are some similarities. It's interesting because we have about the same not the same people, but the same mix of people come to all of our shows. Usually it's 40 to 50 states represented, and I'm really proud to say we have all 50 states registered for Paducah this year. Yes. And then from other countries, it always is from like 8 or 9 to 15. And I believe we have 11 countries that will be coming to the show here in Paducah this year.
I believe you worked with Rosemary Steele, our marketing director, and she's taken some in our little welcome badge, and she's taken the different countries that we are aware are coming to our show and put welcome on our badge. So we're real excited about that. I do believe this is a very cosmopolitan show, and it's very evident as you walk through the quilt show and look at what the people are wearing and look at their quilts. I think that they're, what is the word for it? Besides cosmo, they're very stylish.
Yeah, and they're very. They have a real variety of both fabrics and the way they use that fabric, especially.
They're very artistic. They're not earthy. They're very on the edge.
That's true. Very true.
And I see that here in Paducah. I believe that Paducah is on the edge, the cutting edge, and I'm excited about that. I'm very proud.
Well, our quilts this year are absolutely beautiful. It will be a real hard task for our judges next weekend to judge all of those quilts and pick the winners. It'll be a tough job.
Well, and I would love it. You always say, you know, when we have good quilts, everybody's happy. And last year there must have been good quilts because with the high water and making all the changes at the last minute, people were happy. They were thrilled with the way Paducah reacted to the emergency of the high water. And everyone adapted, and they were very happy.
Do you know what is still interesting? The feedback that we've gotten from last year's quilt show. Many quilters who've been here a number of times, and a lot of quilters, come every year. Yes. They were amazed that we were able, in really one day's time, to completely tear the show down, redesign it, and then reset it all on that Monday so that we could let the vendors come in and set up on Tuesday. And we opened it right on time, too, on Tuesday evening. But the people that had never been here before, they didn't know it was any different. Oh, yeah. So that really told me that even though we had to go to Plan B, we planned it well enough and we had the buses routed and everything to move people around the city. And so what we learned from that is we can do it if we have to, but we're really glad to see that low river this year.
Yes, that is exactly right. Well, here we're talking about the month of April and the quilt show. We haven't even mentioned the dates. So this year, the show, April 25th through 28th, which even though the show opens on Wednesday, actually Tuesday is the awards presentation, and people come in earlier than that.
Yes, I understand we have some people already scheduled to be in here starting on Friday, so they'll be in here for the whole weekend before. And one of the things that we did this year was sell a multi-day admission bracelet or admission pass for the Quilt Museum, and fortunately, that was a real popular thing to do because our sales for that were up 30%. I know the media the other day said that the show was up 30%. It was really the admissions for the museum are up 30%. But of course, we want everybody to see our quilt museum. We're so proud of it. And this way, when they come in early, they have the opportunity then on Saturday or Sunday to go check out that museum before it gets really busy.
And go to the symphony.
And go to the symphony. AQS members can get in free with their membership card. Yes. So we hope a lot of them that are in town will take care of that or take advantage of that as well.
I'll be looking for them. That'll be fun. Also, let's see, Rotary is one of the sanctioned events, the Rotary Antique Quilt Show. And at Rotary, just this week, it was announced that their pre-registrations were doubled from last year. So that's a good sign. Now,
yes,
last year
not
was
quite doubled,
not
but
quite,
we
okay.
sold a lot more than we sold the most we've ever sold of the Rotary tickets. And we actually have 3 sanctioned events. The first one, of course, is the Quilt Museum. And the second one is the Rotary, which will have the Hoffman Challenge and their antique quilts that are red, white, and blue this year. And the third one is Quilt in a Day, Eleanor Burns, and she always does something out at Carson Park where she'll do her program, and they do some classes that they do out there earlier in the week. And so those are our 3 sanctioned events for this year. And if people are looking for their hours, page 6 in the show book lists the hours for all 3 of those events. That's a real good reference page.
That's good. But if you want to know ahead of time, you can go straight to our website at the Visitors Bureau, www.paducah.travel, and just hit right on the quilting button, or American Quilter.
That's right. AmericanQuilter.com is our website.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good. Of course, I urge others in the community, and there are many activities that have followed the lead of the American Quilter Society. I'll urge any of them who might be watching this to think about becoming a sanctioned event and actually partnering with American Quilter Society.
Yes, and there is a fee for that. Rick Lloyd handles that for us. But what it means is that we advertise your event that's going on during the quilt show. And so that makes it so they become a partner with us.
And I think that is the way to go, partnering, sharing the burden also of the advertising. But then it comes back to you. You know, it's a, build it, they will come doesn't always mean that you've got the big crowd.
Well, and you know as well as I do that when the quilters come here, they're interested in seeing quilts and quilt-related things. And so if they're doing something that's quilt-related, they definitely need to be a sanctioned event. But we have another thing that's happening new this year, and that is the Paducah Alliance, Renaissance Alliance, is doing Piecing Together Paducah, a little treasure map that the quilters can pick up at the Visitors Bureau booth at the show. And there are about 21, I believe, businesses participating. And the quilters will take that map to those businesses. When they get there, they'll get a stamp for that business. They will also get a free quilt pattern, a quilt block pattern. And if they fill up half of it, if they visit at least 10, they will get their name in for a really nice basket of goodies from Paducah.
Oh, I bet it is a good basket. Yes. Well, I'm anxious to see maybe next year we'll see some of the quilts and quilt blocks that came from that contest. Well, starting with that the awards program, which I always like to go to, and it's always fun to see people squealing as they hear their name and running down the aisle. But I love it that Ricky Timms will be doing a performance.
Ricky Timms will be our entertainment at the beginning of the awards presentation. And he's doing a world tour this year. So he's traveling all over the world, visiting quilters and teaching and doing his performance. And I hope we get to hear some information about that, because I know he's having a ball and is so excited to see what the quilters around the world are doing. So I hope we get to see some of that.
Oh, I bet we will. I've had fun following him on Facebook. Ricky Timms is not only a fabulous quilter, but an entertainer.
And musician.
Oh, my goodness. Just wonderful. So that'll be good if you have an opportunity to go to that. And then the next day it all starts.
Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. Now, we do have something special we're going to do on Wednesday morning to open the show. And I'm not going to tell you all about that just yet. But the Paducah Tillman High School Band Drum Corps will be involved. Quilters and some quilts will be involved. And so you should be at the convention center, or the expo center. We're going to go into the expo center about 5 minutes to 9 on Wednesday morning to open the show. So it ought to be fun.
And did I hear you say that both Quiltman and Bobbin might be there? We might have a sighting.
I think you will. You'll get to see them first day of the show.
First day of the show. Capes flying in the wind. Gosh.
Well, so then on Wednesday evening, we have Alex Anderson.
Yes.
Who, Ricky Timms and Alex are the ones who are the editors of the Quilt Life magazine. And so Alex, and they'll both be here. Ricky, of course, is here with his booth and performing, but Alex will also be here, and she's doing a performance lecture on Wednesday evening, and that's in the Eisenhower Room at the Convention Center. And then, you know, Thursday is always auction day. And we have some exciting news that we're doing for the auction this year, in that it will be webcast live, and people can participate in the auction from home with a chat line. So if we have people out there in Paducah that think, oh man, I don't want to get in the crowds, here's your opportunity to buy antique quilts. They have some sewing machines that will be auctioned. They have new quilts and a whole variety of other things. Some beautiful baskets that'll be filled with some things. But it's always a good bargain.
Oh, I've even done it.
Oh, yes. Do you know, they always know I'm good for at least 2 quilts.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately.
It is a place to get quilts at a good price and to support the Quilt Museum.
Yes, and let me just tell people how to do that.
Yes.
You just go to AmericanQuilter.com and click on Quilt Shows at the top. And then when you get to that page, you'll see a magenta button that says Webcast. You click on that, and then you have to make one more click on the same button to get you in to register. You register for the Quilt Museum's live auction. It's about midway down in the list, because we're also webcasting our lectures. So you register. There's a $10 fee to help with the expense of the webcast. And once you register, you will get a link into the chat room that'll be live at 6 o'clock on Thursday evening when we open the auction. And so I hope people will go in and get themselves registered and then enjoy the auction. You'll be able to both view the auction, and you'll be able to bid on the chat line. So that'll be just a little screen on the side of your computer screen, so that you can go in and do that. You'll be able to watch the bids too. There'll be somebody inputting the bids, so that you know what's happening in the bidding.
You'll see it live right there. You may say, oh, $10, but for the deals that you're getting at the auction, that is a well spent
and that's $10. A one-time fee.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good for the whole evening.
That's good. So if you are, no matter where you are around the globe, if you would like to see those classes or lectures, you can do this webcast.
Yes, you can. And all of the lectures, except for the Ricky Timms lecture, that's part of his seminar, so we don't do that one. But all of the other lectures, Alex Anderson is sold out. Wow. And so if you want to watch Alex, you need to go watch it live on your computer through the webcast. But yes, it's one more way that we can take part of this quilt show to people all over the world that don't have the opportunity to travel here to Paducah.
The classes that are offered through the college on quilting class, are those online? Do you know?
Well, we do that 2 ways. They can take classes at the show, which they'll get credit for a certificate, at least initially. And then we also have had some of our AQS authors have taped. I think I have 3 or 4 programs that I've taped that are live classes.
That's great.
Yes, and so again, we have ladies from Japan and all over participating in that. So that's another great thing with our college.
Yes, I love it. We have a lot of partners in our community. That's the truth. Well, let's look at some of the other activities that are happening. Of course, the All-Star Review is always fun, and that's... Review this again. My friends that come always like to do that. That's all of the different teachers are set up in the All-Star Review.
We usually have 8 or 10 teachers. And do you know, one thing we learned from having to make a change last year was the only thing I couldn't figure out is what do we do about the All-Star Review? Because we used to do it where we had each teacher set up at a table around the room, and we used about 3 rooms, and we put like 4 tables in there, and then the crowd moved around table to table. Well, last year we couldn't do that, and so in the middle of the first night trying to figure out what we're doing with all these changes, I woke up thinking, you know what, if we just had each of these teachers do it once, we could use the lecture hall. And you know what? The audience loved it, the teachers loved it, and so we changed the format of that event. And so it will be held in the Eisenhower Room, the All-Star Review. Each teacher will do about a 10-minute demo, And then when that's the first hour and a half, they'll do the demos. And then the last half hour, they can get autographs and they can buy books from each of those teachers. Good. So, you know, there are some good things that come out of disaster.
We learn every day, don't we? That is the truth.
We have the Quilt Art Autograph Party is Wednesday evening as well, and that is Claudine Hanson. You know, this is one of the most popular books AQS publishes, is the really? Quilt Autograph, the Quilt Art Calendar.
Oh, yes.
That she edits.
I think I have every year.
And you know, the quilts that are in there have never been published before, and they have been winners at some show around the country. So it's a beautiful book of quilts. Yes. You get a new quilt for every week. And but they have some of the people whose quilts are in there will be here with Claudine, and so you can buy your calendar and go get autographs
and talk
and have a little punch too.
Yes, that's good.
Then there are quite a few things going on at the Quilt Museum. They have George and Virginia Siciliano will be doing a lecture over there on Wednesday evening. And you know, it's interesting. Alex is sold out from our agenda, and George and Virginia are sold out over at the Quilt Museum as well. And
I had to Google him because you said, I thought you said, I think he's nuts. And I thought, well, and so I looked it up, but that's the name of his
topic is this guy must be nuts.
This guy must be nuts. And I thought that was commentary. I didn't realize, but yes.
Yeah. And you know what? He says that all the time because he's the one that makes these little tiny miniatures about like this that must have 1,000 pieces in them. Wow. They're all foundation pieced, but they're spectacular. He has a great use of color. And some of his quilts are in the museum's miniature collection. Okay. So if you don't get to meet George, you at least can go visit his quilts in the Quilt Museum all year long.
I love the miniatures. They are amazing.
Yeah, and I just want to make people aware, we've moved the miniatures. This year we put more large quilts in the Expo Center, which is where we used to have the miniature cases, and moved the miniatures up to the second floor. So the wall quilts and the miniatures are on the second floor, and then the large quilts, the bed size and large walls are in the Expo Center.
It makes sense.
Yes, and then we have another great exhibit that will be in the pavilion. I invited 5 of the most ribbon-winning quilters who quilt on a long arm to send us 6 quilts each. So we have 30 quilts, and we're calling it the Magnificent Machine Artistry. And so it's Marilyn Badger and Claudia Clark-Meyer, Tammy Finkler, Sue Patton, Judy Woodworth, and Renee Haddenden. And Renee Haddenden just won a major award at another show that was just announced yesterday. So these are big winners, and their quilts are magnificent. So don't miss seeing the Magnificent Machine Quilted Quilts it'll be in the back of the pavilion.
For anybody who might be listening who hasn't seen these long arm quilts, they are a long arm. Rather than working on your sewing machine right here, you have a control.
You drive yes.
it. Then it's got this long arm that's way out there sewing. Do you think that these quilts are long arm, or they are machine, which I'm amazed?
Do you know, I'm sorry that I did not look that information up, but I did bring 2 really nice quilts. Well, wonderful. All of the quilts in the show are really nice, but I just brought a variety with us so that we could show a little bit here. And so this green one is made by Pam Hill from Australia, so she's one of our international quilters. And you can see the quilting on that is absolutely magnificent.
Yes.
And then Caitlin Lorenz from Montana made the one here that's got all the orange and yellow on it. Both machine quilted and beautifully so. Now I know sometimes people think, oh gosh, you know, I hate that it's machine quilted. Believe me, I'm not very good at machine quilting, but there is a real art to doing that and doing it very, very well. And both of these quilters are able to do that.
I think yes, it's just another way, another tool to do the quilting, and they're both unbelievable. The small stitches are just amazing. Just amazing.
And regardless of whether you quilt on a home sewing machine where the head is stationary and you move the fabric, or a long arm machine where the head moves and the fabric is stationary, both of those have a different learning curve.
can imagine.
Yes, both of them do. Well,
Now-
let's get back to just one more thing here.
Yes.
For our things that are going on. The museum also, of course, is doing their silent auction, and that's done on Wednesday and Friday from 10 to 4:30, and it'll be in the hallway outside the Adams Room on the first floor of the convention center. They'll be right there in the hallway.
Downstairs.
Yes.
But there's a buy it now, so if you're coming just one day to the show and there's something you have to have, you can.
There'll be a price
Okay.
that you can buy it now for that price.
Just like eBay.
Just like any buy it now kind of thing. But then there'll be people that will be bidding throughout the day, and it'll all be done by bids. And they have different items on Wednesday. The items on Friday will be different from that. They'll get rid of everything on Wednesday and have new items on Friday. And all of these things have been donated. Another thing that they do that's really fun is the fabulous, you have to say this slow, fabulous fabric flurry. And this is where you come in and pay $10 for a bag, and it's a little baggie, and you can get as much fabric as you can get in that and still seal the top for the $10. And I don't know, I donated about 40 yards of fabric for them, and I know lots of other people have donated to that too, but that's always fun. And it starts at 8 o'clock in the, 8 to 9 they publish. But you better be there at 8 o'clock, because last year it didn't take very long for all of the fabric to run out.
Are they quarters or squares or all size fabric?
It's going to be all sizes, but I think they make them fat quarters, or like a lot of mine were just pieces that were maybe smaller than that. Some people might have donated squares, but whatever you can get in this little baggie is what you're going to get.
That will be a frenzy.
It will be a flurry for sure. And then, of course, we conclude our program on Friday night with Ricky Timms at the Carson Ford River
full
Center.
concert.
It will be, he usually does some storytelling and some concert. And if people have attended it before, well, don't think that you've heard this one, because he changes it every single year. You know, one year he came out on his motorcycle, and I mean, he's just really done all kinds of things. Sometimes he's got smoke coming up out of the floor, and it's a real production that Ricky puts on for our performance on Friday evening.
He has a multifaceted personality and very, very likable. And after this tour around the world, there is no telling what will be part of either the opening or his full concert. I've been to it, and it is, I was just in awe.
Do you know, the first time he performed for us, he did it in the intermission of the fashion show. And first of all, I had to tell him, you can only do 30 minutes. Well, tell a performer only 30 minutes, right? Well, and so he did the 30 minutes, and everybody loved it. And then he wanted to come back the next year. And I said, well, we can have you come back, but it can't be the same program. And so that set the stage of, he knew we had a lot of repeat customers that are coming, that we need to make sure that we have a new and different program from last year. So I would encourage everybody to come. And you know, the Carson Center holds 1,600 people. I know there are still some seats left there. So if they haven't bought their ticket, they will be able to buy those at the show. And let me talk about when we'll be open at the show. On Tuesday, the workshop desk will be open from 12 noon until 7 p.m. And then at 7:30, the sneak preview starts. Okay, and so that is a benefit that we do on Tuesday after the awards presentation.
Is it $25?
It's $25, and those monies are donated then to the Quilt Museum. So it's a benefit that we do for them.
But if you want to see the show with a limited number of people, hundreds, not thousands, hundreds, and very intimate, this is the time to go. If you like that setting, $25, you can just see everything with not crowds.
And if there's a winner there,
That's
you
great.
may even get to talk to her. Usually if there's a winner there, they have so many people around them that you don't get to say much. But on the sneak preview night, you would certainly have that opportunity.
But there are 2 activities at the Carson Center, and they have many other things happening, I think, every other night. But everything is at the Convention Center and the Expo Center.
Except Tuesday night were the awards, and Ricky on Friday. Those 2 are at the Carson. Everything else is at the Convention Center.
Expo Center and in the Bubble.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Now, one of the speakers also has a showing at Maiden Alley. She's from Kentucky, who has the film.
Oh, Shelley Ziegert?
Yes.
Yes, Shelley Ziegert. And we will...
she has a lecture.
Do you know, we had two different companies in town a couple of years ago doing filming during our show. One did the movie Stitched, which we showed last year, and this year we're showing Why Quilts Matter, that Shelley Ziegert produced. It's a great documentary of quilting in the modern era of quilting. Some about the politics, some about history, and then some about the quilts and the quilters. And it's a great documentary. We'll be showing it at 5 o'clock on Friday night, and I understand Maiden Alley will be showing it some other times as well.
And I think Stitched as well. And then as we're getting to the end of our time here, as I was looking over some of the classes, I saw there's one about the Civil War and cotton and how important the cotton and how that affected quilting. So there are many aspects besides learning and looking, and the films, the music. The quilt show, every sense is involved, and it really reaches out. And
do you know, you will see every style of quilt. You will meet quilters from all over the world, and when we were talking about the international ones, it's always amazing to me to just walk down the hallways and listen to the language, because then you learn how many people are here from other countries. Again, the show opens on Wednesday morning. It's 9 to 6, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday. There is more parking at the convention center this year, and parking there will be $5. And you'll just watch the signs. We'll have some signage out to get them into the parking lots. And you know what? The AQS staff is just about ready to go. We had our employee meeting yesterday, and that's usually the sign that we're almost there.
Between that and the ambassador meeting, yes.
That's right.
The Quilt Museum will have extended hours. Once again, Paducah.travel or AmericanQuilter.com. Check it out. Be in the know. I know that you'll find something that you would like to see. Come down, put on your best smile, Paducah, and be ready for our visitors from all over. Oh,
comfortable shoes.
Comfortable shoes.
Be sure to wear comfortable shoes.
That's right. Smile and comfortable shoes, and come on down. There will be plenty of parking, more than we've had, because of where the hotel is no longer. Is all parking, so it's never been easier to get closer to the show, and we want you to be a part of it. Come down, check it out. You might find that you have an interest in quilting and want to take one of the many classes. Was it 5,000 people will take classes this coming month?
We usually have about 5,000 people registered.
That's for just the classes.
Yes.
It's amazing. Yes. Well, thank you, Bonnie, for joining us. It just seems like each year goes by, and here we are at the 28th show. And we do have dates for the next couple of years. We'll get up there to 30. We'll be having a 30th anniversary before you know it.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us. I'll see you downtown at the Quilt Show.